Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to episode 2 of the Kindle Clearout Project, where I read books from my Kindle to try and reduce my Kindle TBR. If you missed episode 1, then I'll leave it linked in the description, but this time around I wanted to do things a little bit differently because for episode 1 I read romance books, and this time I wanted to read a few different genres, so I decided to use a random wheel spinner app to give me genres to choose from. So yeah, that's the vlog that you're about to see. I have already filmed this vlog. If you see me again in about 20 minutes and I'm wearing the exact same outfit, then that is why. I just didn't do a proper introduction, so I thought I would introduce it now. Just a warning that I do get sick halfway through filming. So let's get back to around 2 weeks ago, where you'll see me picking my very first book. Hi everyone, it is time to find out what book I'm going to be reading first for this vlog. So I have basically gone online and found a random wheel spinner, and I've loaded in all of the different genres that I read, and yeah, we're gonna spin the wheel and find out what genre I need to read from first. I'll put the recording on the screen so you can see, but it looks like the first genre is contemporary, so I'm gonna have a quick look on my Kindle and then I'll come back to you with what I've decided to go for.
A few moments later.
Okay, so I think the book that I'm gonna go with is The Travelling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arikawa, I think is how you pronounce the author's name. This was translated by Philip Gabriel because it was originally published in Japanese, and from what I gather, it's about a cat called Nana who goes on a road trip. So I feel like this could go either way. Either it's going to be really sad or it's going to be really uplifting, and I'm hoping for the second option. I'm hoping this is going to be really sweet and very emotional, but in a good way. A lot of the reviews are describing it as beautifully written, and yeah, I'm interested to see what I think of this. It's only 288 pages, so hopefully it will be quite a quick read and it will be a good read to start the week off. Hello. It is now Tuesday, not Wednesday. I keep getting confused because I was working from the office today and I usually only do that on Wednesdays, but it is now Tuesday, and I thought I would pop in with a quick reading update because I'm now around halfway through The Travelling Cat Chronicles and I'm really liking it so far. The writing is beautiful, but in a simple way. It's not like super flowery, and I really like reading from the perspective of a cat. The cat in this is very sarcastic and sounds exactly how I would expect a cat to sound. I don't know if I gave a proper synopsis for this, but basically we're following this cat called Nana, who around 5 years ago was adopted by this guy called Satoru. At the start of the book you learn that Satoru can't keep Nana anymore, and we don't really know why yet, but basically they're on this road trip where Satoru is trying to find someone who can take care of Nana going forward, and it's just so wholesome and cute, but also a little bit heartbreaking. There's been a few moments where I've cried, but it's given me 5-star feelings, which is obviously great. Hello. It is now Wednesday and I finished reading The Travelling Cat Chronicles last night. I had a feeling at the halfway point that this was going to be a 5 stars, and I was correct. However, I was not expecting this to become a new favourite book of all time. I was sobbing at the ending, and it wasn't just a little bit, you know, it was full on ugly crying. I can't even explain why this book affected me so personally because I'd have to go into spoilers, but wow. It's really difficult to talk about. I will say, actually, in terms of content warnings, if you are struggling with grief or loss at the moment, then I might not recommend this because it was very bittersweet. It was cozy and wholesome, but there was also a lot of sadness to the story. The main character, as in the main human character, goes through a lot. It's basically told from his perspective, but also the cat's perspective. So it flicks back and forth between first person point of view, which is the cat's point of view, and then third person point of view, which is following this main character and his life, basically. Is the kind of book where I could see some people finding it boring. I didn't find it boring at all. Literally, from the very first chapter, I was absorbed into the story. It was so heartbreaking and poignant, and it was a real emotional roller coaster. As the story goes on, you start to get this feeling that it's building up to something, and there was a point where I kind of worked out what direction it was going in, but it didn't affect my enjoyment at all. If anything, it completely broke me, and I had this feeling, this sinking feeling, where I knew I was going to be devastated, and I was right. So yeah, if you're looking for a book that's possibly going to make you cry, put this on your radar, because I haven't heard many people talking about it. I think it was popular a few years ago. I think it actually came out in 2012. I don't know when it was translated into English. I feel like a lot of people would love this, especially if you have a cat or if you love animals. I think it's one that I would recommend. Just check the trigger warnings beforehand. I can't go into the trigger warnings because of spoilers, but I'll try and remember to put them in my Goodreads review, which I'll leave linked in the description. I think in general, I really need more books written from the perspective of a cat, because I've read The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward, and I really liked that, and the cat's perspective was my favourite thing about it. And then I've read this book, and again, I think my favourite thing about it was the cat's perspective. So if you have any recommendations of more books that have a cat's point of view, then let me know, because yeah, it's definitely something that I want to read more of. Obviously, it is now time to choose my next book for this read and vlog, so I'll put the spinner wheel on the screen again so you can see, but I'm not sure what I'm in the mood for now. I don't want a fantasy because I'm currently listening to a fantasy audiobook, and okay, that was a close one. It has come up as romance, and I actually have a few options for this, so I'm going to double check my Kindle and then I'll let you know what I decide to go for. Okay, so there's two books that I'm trying to decide between. The first is The X-Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon, and the second is The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. And I feel like The Soulmate Equation might be a safer choice because I have read books by Christina Lauren before and enjoyed them, and also this has a higher average rating on Goodreads, but I don't know. I have been meaning to try Rachel Lynn Solomon because I know that her books are really popular. So yeah, it's going to be one of those two. I think I'm going to go to the gym and have some food and then when I'm ready to settle down and read, I'll let you know what I decide to go with. I never actually told you yesterday which book I decided to pick up, so I decided to go with The X-Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon, mostly because I'm curious to see what I think of it, but also because it's around 100 pages shorter than The Soulmate Equation, and I know it's not about quantity, it should be about quality, but I want to finish a book by the weekend, so I decided to pick this up last night, and I think I'm around 20% of the way through. We're basically following this main character called Shay, who's a senior producer at this public, like, local radio station. She's worked there for, I think, around 10 years, and there's this guy that she works with called Dominic, who she hates for some reason. I think it's because he's quite new and he's a little bit younger than her, but he thinks he knows better, and so they kind of clash quite a lot. I'm really struggling to explain this, but basically the radio show is in a little bit of trouble, and so they've had to come up with some new fresh ideas to boost their listenership, and their producer has asked Shay and Dominic to star on this new talk show. This show is going to be called The X Talk, and so they have to pretend to be exes even though they've never dated, so it's a bit of a twist on the fake dating trope, which I like. I like the fake dating trope, and I like that this is kind of that but also kind of not. The only thing I'm a little nervous about is, so far it's reminded me a little bit of The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, which I didn't love. I thought it was okay. I gave it like 3 stars, but I'm hoping that I like this more than that. And I do like the writing and the banter between the characters. It's single point of view as well, which again, I think I prefer it if it was dual perspective, but yeah, so far it's okay. I'm gonna try and read some more tonight, and then like I said, I want to finish it before the weekend.
It's only a matter of time. Before you and me collide. I don't wanna.
So the good news is I'm almost halfway through The X Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. However, the bad news is I think I'm getting sick. I've been feeling really rough all day, and it might be nothing, but I'm so annoyed because I hate being sick, and I'm going away next weekend, so I wanted to get a lot of filming done this weekend. I was going to film my April TBR tomorrow, but obviously if I'm sick then I don't really want to do that, so it means that I'm going to have to try and fit it in during the week and then find the time to edit it. So I'm trying not to stress myself out, but yeah, hopefully it's nothing and I'll wake up tomorrow feeling good again. But I do want to try and finish The X Talk tonight if I can. I'm about 40-something% of the way through and I'm still really liking it. I think the characters have good chemistry and the banter is really funny. I've laughed out loud a few times. Sometimes it has felt a little bit forced, more in the sense that the dialogue doesn't feel 100% realistic, but there's a dog which I think is really cute, and yeah, it is really cute. I think the characters are cute together. This also has multimedia, so every so often there'll be transcripts from this radio show that the characters are hosting, and then there's also texts between them and social media posts. So yeah, I like all of that stuff. I am someone who likes multimedia in books, so having a good time with this so far. It's not giving me 5-star feelings, but it's given me solid 4-star feelings, so that's good. The only thing that I don't really understand is why they keep bringing up the age gap. So she's 29, I think, and he's 24, so there's only like 5 years between them. It's really not a big deal, and I feel like if the genders were reversed, then it wouldn't even be a thing. So yeah, that's annoyed me a little bit. Annoyed is probably the wrong word, but yeah, it's just something that I noticed. And also this has the trope where he's really tall, like 6'2" or 3, and she's really, really tiny, which doesn't bother me personally, I don't think, because I don't really picture characters when I'm reading, but yeah, it's something that I wanted to mention because I know that some people really don't like that. Remember a few days ago when I said I was worried that I was starting to get sick? Well, it turns out I am indeed sick. So I've spent the past few days feeling very sorry for myself, but I did end up finishing The X Talk on Friday night, and this was almost a 5 stars. There was some stuff that happened towards the end that made me feel really angry. I didn't like the way that the characters reacted to a certain situation, and it just felt very messy, very rushed, and so yeah, I think I'm going to give it a 4 stars overall. I didn't love Shay as a main character. She could be quite self-deprecating at times, and I wanted her to have a little more confidence and to go through a little more character growth. However, I did really like Dominic. I thought he was really cute. Yeah, I had very mixed feelings on this book overall. I liked that the relationship didn't feel rushed and that there was a good amount of tension and build up and then a good amount of smut in the second half, but the ending just let it down. So I'm going to give it 4 stars overall, like I said. I have now chosen my next book for this vlog, which I'll insert the clip into the vlog here so you can see me doing the spinner wheel. I decided to film it like off camera without my face because you did not want to see what my face looked like on Saturday. So the next spin landed on thriller, which is good because I am in the mood for something a little more fast-paced, and I decided to go with The Jigsaw Man by Nadine Matheson, which is a crime thriller that's the first book in a police detective series. I think there's 2 books out so far, and then the 3rd book comes out later this year. I think each book follows this police inspector as she's investigating different crimes, so I don't know if you have to read the books in order or whether they work as standalones, but I'm around 20% into The Jigsaw Man, which is the first book. I found the audiobook on Scribd, so I'm listening as I'm reading physically, which is definitely helping me to concentrate while I've been feeling a little bit poorly. The plot so far has basically been following this main character, Angelica Henley, as she investigates after this dismembered body is found on the riverbank of the Thames. It's set in London, and yeah, there might be links to a previous investigation that she worked on. It's been quite graphic so far, and it's a lot darker than I was expecting. It's also a lot longer than I realised. I think it's around 500 pages, which is quite long for a thriller, but I'm liking the writing so far, and I'm liking listening as I'm reading physically because I feel like that's helping me become absorbed in the story and I feel a lot closer to the characters. So yeah, excited to carry on reading this. We'll let you know once I have more reading updates. Hello. So it's actually been over a week since I filmed the last update for this vlog. I think I mentioned, and I think it was pretty obvious, that I was getting sick and I didn't have time to film any more before I went to Edinburgh over the weekend because my voice went really croaky, and I still feel like it's a bit croaky now, but hopefully I can make it through this last update because I wanted to let you know my thoughts on The Jigsaw Man. I ended up giving this 3 stars in the end. I did like it. It felt more like a crime drama though, rather than a thriller, and actually the most common criticism that I've seen on Goodreads is some people found this boring, and I didn't personally find it boring, but it was quite heavy on police procedure, so I think it's more having the right expectations going in because I thought it was okay. Like I said, 3 stars isn't a bad rating. I think it's the kind of book that would work really well as a TV show because it's quite gritty and it was quite gruesome in places. I wasn't expecting it to be that graphic. It's not really a fast-paced book though, it is more about the characters, and that's not really my personal favourite type of thriller. Like, I do enjoy crime fiction, but I didn't really care about the characters in this. I will say that there was a lot more diversity in this book in comparison to other crime books that I've read, which I really appreciated. If you are interested in this book though, what I will say is don't read the synopsis on Goodreads because it gave away quite quite a lot in my opinion. Like, there were a few things mentioned in the synopsis on Goodreads that I would have preferred not to have known going into the book, because even though I wouldn't say they were really twists, they could have been twists. I don't think I actually said much about the plot, but basically it's about a serial killer and you're following these characters as they're investigating, and then there's also links to the past, possibly. I think this was a debut, and at times the writing did feel a little bit clunky, but I enjoyed it enough that I would pick up the next book. I think the next book is available on Scribd, so I'll probably listen to the audiobook again. I really enjoyed reading the book physically and listening to the audiobook because I felt like it was a lot more immersive, and yeah, there were a few subtle twists and turns that I didn't see come in, but it wasn't like a super twisty book. So yeah, it's one of those where I wouldn't go out of my way to recommend it, but I also wouldn't want to put other people off from reading it, especially if you like TV shows like Line of Duty. It reminded me a little bit of that, and I feel like if I stick with the series, the further that I get into it, the more likely I am to enjoy it because I'll feel more attached to the characters. But yeah, I feel like that's everything that I wanted to say in this vlog. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and click subscribe if you would like to see more videos from me, but otherwise I will see you next time. Bye.